Topuria only wants to fight Makhachev or Oliveira at 155. Nobody else, but he's saying that they're not interested in fighting him, indicating that they're scared.
Yo me estoy preparing for Islam Makhachev. Let's see, all my training is really focused on Islam or Charles, because I don't see any other opponents. So, I have those two names in mind. Neither of them seems to dare. Then they have phrases that make their guide that a champion fights with what they tell him and such and such. And after I don't want to fight him because he's small. Then I change categories. I say, well, I'm small. Now I'm in my category. Then no, I haven't won enough. Well, they are symptoms of fear. We all know that. But it is normal. I would be afraid too.
Also in the lightweight division, there's 3 lightweight fights on Saturday's card at UFC Mexico. The co-main event, Manuel Torres versus Drew Dober, as well as Rafa Garcia versus Vince Pichel. And the very first fight on the early prelims, kicking off the card, Markel Medeiros versus Austin Hubbard. Ryan Bader and the PFL have amicably parted ways. He could probably join the UFC heavyweight division and be in the top 10 pretty easily. Bader's playing the role of Mark Coleman in the Smashing Machine later this year. Magomed Ankalaev said he only trained 4 weeks for his last fight with Alex Pereira. The UFC knows that this was his best chance. They may rematch in August. Both guys are down to do that.
Spoke with them too much because I wanted to take a little break. A lot of fights in 1 year for this guy, right?
Yes.
So I'm just waiting. But if they come out with a date and it be August, I'm going to be prepared and I'm going to be ready for it.
He's upset I held him up against the cage, but he's not upset when I almost knocked him out. The next fight will be a KO in under 3 rounds. Alex says he wasn't close to being knocked out in the most significant strike of that fight that Ankalaev landed in round 2. Zang Weili is in this movie called After Typhoon, which comes out on April 4th. Marcin Tybura picked up a win over Mick Parkin last weekend via decision. He fought out his UFC contract, but it sounds like he wants to re-sign with them. He's interested in fighting Sergey Pavlovich next. That's number 4 versus number 8 in the heavyweight division. Pavlovich would probably get a knockout in that fight. He was a lot more conservative than normal against Rosenstrike in his last fight, but he should be able to stop takedowns against Tybura and has a significant edge in the striking, so should probably get a knockout if they did fight. Muhammad Makhachev on his karate combat debut in Dubai May 2nd. He says, my first ever sport was karate, then I moved to wrestling. Terrence Crawford thinks boxers make more money than MMA fighters. If you compare the UFC to the top promotions in boxing, he thinks boxers make more. But it'll be interesting to see in the future because in MMA, the top league is the UFC, but maybe in the near future, the top league in boxing would be considered Dana White's TKO boxing promotion. So how he handles pay will be interesting to see how that unfolds.
Boxers get paid more than MMA as a whole. Like, it's no comparison. Okay, for instance, you'll see a guy headlining at the Spear. They probably be getting a couple of $1 million. But you'll see a guy on the undercard of a big show probably making more money than that guy. Because y'all do 1-on-1. You win, you get this. You show up. You show up, you get 50,000. You win, you get another 50,000. The UFC, right? That's like the top of the top. You got to work your way up to the UFC. True, you just can't go into the UFC. Fact. So, all right. So those little fights is the fights that you fighting that's not MMA. I mean, not UFC. Right. You can be pro and not be in the UFC. Fact. So we talking about the big stage. So once you make it to the UFC, you in the big leagues now. Fact. You know what I mean? So we talking big leagues. So for me to be when I make it to the big leagues, when I'm on TV, I'm making more than you making when you come into the UFC. So you got to compare apples to apples. You can't say, all right, well, this guy, first fight in the UFC. Well, what did he do before the UFC? How many fights did he have before the UFC?
Joshua Van fighting at UFC 316 June 7th against Bruno Silva. 5th fight in 11 months. Y'all stop with this brain damage comments. I didn't get hit in my last 2 fights. Now y'all happy? In his last fight, he outstruck his opponent 59-32. Before that, 165-70. Before that, 118 to 79, but in his fight with Charles Johnson, he got KO'd and outstruck 88 to 67. Former UFC middleweight Ian Heinisch had successful stem cell procedure on his brain stem. He retired in 2023 due to concussion issues.
She's concerned that one day I might wake up with CT and shoot her. The shooting,
it's valid.
It's not
it's
valid.
valid.
It's not fucking valid.
Yes, it is. It's valid.
So you truly believe that one day I could wake up because brain trauma and murder you? Are you fucking kidding me?
Stranger things have happened.
You said a caliber you'd like to be off
Make
with?
it quick. Be a good shot.
Make it quick, you guys. One day when I wake up with CT, I'm gonna have to make it real quick. You guys, my neighbors probably think I'm a crackhead.
Fighting and life at the highest level are very lonely journeys. In fighting, you have a team, you have people around you, you have a support system, but it's just you in the cage at the end of the day. And it's up to you to do the hard work, and it's up to you to not eat the cheeseburger or go for the walk or sit in the sauna. It's your dream, it's your choice. And that pressure and that weight can feel lonely, but I think it's necessary in order to level up.
Valentina Shevchenko's sister, Antonina, was recently removed from the UFC roster. She has officially announced her retirement. Dear friends, I didn't have the opportunity to leave my gloves in the octagon by tradition. I didn't think my fight in UFC in 2022 would be the last. 30 years in sport, blacked out third dan in Taekwondo, 11 world champion titles in Muay Thai, kickboxing, and MMA. More than 400 fights in amateurs and professionals. Asian and South American champion, UFC fighter. It's time to be focused on the next page, my career as a pilot. My heart and my head are completely full with airplanes and sky, and it's hard to express how happy I am that aviation has come into my life.
Times Square, what's good? Times Square, what's up? Let's go, New York! New York City, the greatest city in the world. How y'all feeling tonight? I see y'all up front, let's go! In the world, how y'all feeling tonight? I see y'all up front, let's go! Hey, we appreciate you guys. Thanks for coming out.